Good one.
Perfect.
Universal.
Yeah, no, I'm just so excited we don't have to wear the headphones, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was
What's up,
not
guys?
a cute.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
back.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome back.
I
Season
kind of
two.
like the talk in the beginning. It's like we're like, oh yeah, we forgot we're just doing a podcast.
Season 2, we're back.
Season 2. How many episodes did we have in season 1 even?
4 and an unreleased.
So it was like the prequel.
Yeah.
It's not like the full season 1. So that was maybe like the prequel.
I mean, it wasn't really a prequel. It was more like us getting our shit together, figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, I did ask Twitter what they wanted to hear us talk about today, and it was the worst suggestion.
I peeked it, and it was just it's like someone said foot hygiene during orgies.
That one was definitely a joke, and I was like, okay, that's funny. But
No,
I feel
that was
like
definitely
someone was
serious.
like, people like political stuff, and I was like, this is not a political podcast.
The one that's like, oh, talk about cryptocurrencies, like
oh, yeah.
us, really?
Yeah, me being like, okay, so apparently it's some kind of like coin that exists, but it doesn't exist. Yeah, that's as much as I have.
Well, anyways, guys, we're back, and we're better than ever. I hope.
Yeah, I think so. Someone saw me recently, and they said, "Wow, the pandemic treated you well," which I felt was a massive compliment.
Or is it just kind of like the off the cuff thing that it's just
I think it's like that. A lot of people got.
Is it the new how have you been? Is it the new how have you been?
I think it's more that just like people got so like beat over quarantine because they weren't seeing anyone. And I felt like it was, I just had my hair done. I was feeling fresh. If they'd seen me 2 weeks before, they probably would have said, the pandemic did not treat you well.
Yeah, because I mean, like I've slid in girls' DMs and been like, whatever you're doing looks good on you right now. Like it's been like, like just like a little slight.
That's what you say.
Well, like if they're like visiting their family in New York, I'll be like, upstate New York looks good on you or something. Obviously that's why I'm single, but don't take it as professional advice.
I've never slid in anyone's DMs besides Little Dicky.
How'd that go?
Not good, but it's like terrible because I'm so embarrassed. Okay, so basically my boyfriend, Spencer, is a huge fan of Little Dicky. And so, I mean, I am too, love him, but like Spencer's definitely the bigger fan. And he bullied me into sliding into his DMs when I was drunk. Not once, not twice, 3 different times. Drunk Spencer convinced drunk Carter to slide into Little
Was this
DMs.
pre-unsend feature or?
This was on Twitter, so that feature doesn't exist. Yeah. And because he followed me, and I was like, oh my god, like so cool, Little Dicky followed me, and that was bad. I wish he had never followed me because then I wouldn't have been able to DM him and embarrass myself. And Spencer's like, oh, invite him to dinner. And I didn't know he had a girlfriend, and so I was like, oh, like I think he has had a girlfriend for like a long time, and I didn't know about that, and I was like, oh, like I have tons of like we were like, oh, we can go on like a little like double like hook him up with like one of my fucking hot ass friends, and I was like, okay, let's like, oh, we should go to dinner, like whatever, and he was like very awkward about it. Like the reply I got, like I could tell that he thought that I was like trying to
get like a threesome situation
I think that like I didn't even mention Spencer at first, so I feel like I was just like, hey, like said something dumb that like Spencer told me to say, and then he was like, okay, this girl's like definitely like trying to like fuck me, right? And so then I was like, oh, by the way, like I got a weird vibe from him, and I was like, oh, by the way, like this is not me hitting on you, like I have a boyfriend, like we're both just big fans, like super like love you, everything you do, whatever. And it was just always been awkward. And I saw him like a year later at the Pornhub Awards, and
he remembered.
And I wanted to go say hi, but then I was like, oh, you can't do that because like you already embarrassed yourself.
You already got 3
times.
DMs. Because if he was like, yo, she was dope, I'm going to DM her later that night, he just pulls up the old DMs and we're back to square one.
It's so terrible. And I like didn't realize that he had a girlfriend, or I wouldn't have been like trying to like, I was just trying, like I thought that's like a way to like a guy's heart is like, hey, like want to like hang out with, like, cause I can't, it's like, I'm kind of disappointing because I have a boyfriend, right? So, but I'm like, but I have lots of hot single friends. And so I always think like,
if a girl DM'd me and was like, hey, I think you're rad and I'd love to set you up with any of my plethora of hot friends, I think that'd be a great like,
right. That's like a pretty good thing, but I didn't realize that he had like a long-term relationship, and he was probably like mad uncomfortable. Like I don't know what to say to this, and sorry to Little Dicky's girlfriend. Like I was not like I wasn't trying to get him to do anything. I just as soon as I heard that, I was like, well, fuck, should have been following her ass.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
because then you would have hit her up for double dates. Yeah, I mean, well, while we're on the subject, I was like, yo, let's talk about the world's reopening. We're getting back out there. We're causing chaos. Let's teach people how to DM.
How to slide?
Yeah,
DMs?
how to do a proper DM slide. Because I've seen some pretty sloppy ones from guy friends. The sending them back their own picture and then commenting under it, gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
Or
that's
like the vague compliment.
It's basically what I always think when I get those DMs is, I really wish you just commented that so I got better fucking engagement.
But they don't want to be publicly seen doing that.
Yeah, probably because they're like fucking some girl and they like don't want her to see it, which is crazy. Yeah. I don't even know how you see what other people like when girls are like, I can't believe my boyfriend liked this girl's photo. I'm like, I would, even if I wanted to know what photos like.
Here's the thing,
like,
people will literally, and I've found this out from, it sounds so weird, like civilians, but like people that care, they'll spend hours reading comments. People were just like, oh, did you see the comments on so-and-so's? And I'm like, no.
Right.
I got shit to do. I got shit to do.
So they're just kind of scrolling through.
Yeah.
And I guess if it's a mutual, they end up seeing
like,
it.
When I've been sending people TikToks, and they'll be like, oh my God, did you read the comment section? And I go, no, I saw the video. I laughed. I continued on. Like,
I do that on Twitter. I get sucked deep into
because
threads.
Twitter's threads.
Yeah.
You don't have threads on Instagram.
And sometimes the threads take wild turns. I'm so addicted to them. It's kind of a problem. That's why I have to like take breaks from it, because it'll be about a topic that I don't even care about or I'm not even interested in. And then I just start reading the thread and suddenly I'm like deep into like this conversation between two people that are just like some random people, like 5 followers that are having some discussion about this topic that I don't even care about. And I'm so fascinated.
Dude, but I hate when people don't follow proper like thread etiquette. Cause you know, like if people are just replying to things, it's easy to follow. But then as you get a couple quote retweets or like a double quote retweet, like it's just, sometimes it gets hard to follow.
Oh yeah, you can't do the quote retweet in a thread. That gets confusing.
It's kind of like a call out.
Well, the thing with now is they don't show you who you're responding to, so people don't know how to use threads. Sometimes someone wrote something. Someone wrote like a douchey comment under. Yeah. I responded to the douchey comment being like, "You're a douche," and then the original
they don't see the
original person was like, "Why the fuck you call me a douche?" I was like, "Oh, yeah."
Especially if they delete it. If they delete it, because then you just get sandwiched in. They delete the filling. Yeah. Okay. Well, back to the DM slide. Let's give these guys and girls some tips on a proper DM slide.
So not the send the picture, just comment. Okay. That's actually better because then they're like, oh, you gave me engagement.
I think the one you told me like early on, like this was like maybe like 2-3 years ago. You said like start a conversation off a story.
Yeah,
that's the good one.
The kind of casual, like, you know, someone posts something that they're doing, you know, or like maybe they're eating some kind of food and you're like, oh my God, where is that? And like, you know, it's kind of like, it's natural.
You sneak conversation into it.
Well, also too, is like, that's like ultimately what you want out of like, even if you're just trying to fuck someone, you want someone you could have a conversation with, because unless you're hiring like someone for the hour, you're probably going to hang out with them for longer than the time it takes you to fuck. So like preferably you'd like to like get along with that person, right?
Well, in reality, isn't that picking someone up at a bar? You see them doing something and you comment on what they're doing, you know? Like you start conversation, like it's the modern day pickup.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Actually, bar hits, whatever, might be worse than DMs, but you're usually drunk, so you're kind of like, oh, that was dumb. And then the DMs, you're like sober and it's 9 a.m. and you're like, Jesus Christ, and you read it and you can screenshot it and send it to all your friends. Now it makes sense thinking back on like what guys have said to me at bars. I'm like, oh, that's where it came from.
See, but here's the thing, like, back to the screenshot thing. I treat every single DM as if it's going to get screenshotted and tweeted out.
Right. No, you should.
It's just, dude, it's the shit that I see guys get exposed for. I'm like, bro, come on. You didn't think that was going to get group chatted?
You should. I mean, because, it's the internet. Anything you write, which is what's terrifying to me of anything. Because everything I'm writing, I'm like, could be screenshot and like put everywhere. And you could be writing, I don't know, something embarrassing, like me asking Little Dicky to go to dinner.
Dude, I remember saying, I think I was like 18 or 19 when I made a Twitter. I was late to Twitter. And I was like, I'm never going to delete a tweet, because I want my kids to see like what it was like growing up. I was like super philosophical at 19 years old. Yeah, no, you wake up after those blacked out nights, you're deleting that shit.
I wish I've seen you tweet some funny stuff when you're drunk. I wish that I could delete all my tweets past a certain point. Like, I don't want to go back through. I tweet all the time. It's too many things to go through. But I just feel like anything like that was more than like 4 years ago is like probably
it's irrelevant.
Embarrassing.
It's not who I am.
I've
changed. I've grown.
And I don't want to go through all those.
Also, I have way different humor.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, like, and it's just terrifying because you could get something pulled up that was just like the dumbest fucking.
Yo,
like,
early cancel culture. I had a really close group of friends, and they would search your Twitter handle, and like just bad things, and you'd be like, hey, bud, you got to delete this. You gotta delete this, and
well,
now.
you saw that the one girl got, I think it was like the editor-in-chief or something of Teen Vogue. She basically had to step, it was like 2 weeks after getting the job, she had to step down because a tweet surfaced from when she was 17, 10 years before.
Yeah.
And it was like, they were not like, it wasn't like terrible. It wasn't like, oh God, but it was like, okay, like that was not an okay thing to tweet. But also it was like, oh my God, like I think about like at 17, like thank God I didn't have a Twitter at 17. Think about like the dumb shit you said on Facebook or whatever. Like,
but here's the thing, who's taking the time to be like, yo, this Teen Vogue editor, let's see what she's got up her sleeve?
A lot of people.
Why?
A lot of people.
Do you really not have that much better things going on? It's the same people that read comments.
Yeah.
Back to that. It's the same. It's the comment. It's just like, bro, come on.
Wait, have you seen that guy? I know this is totally off topic and not related to this at all, but have you seen the guy on TikTok that makes songs that are Facebook comment sections?
Yes. Yo. But I mean, Facebook's
What's
gold.
his name so we can tell people? Because I can't pull it up. We're working on this little setup. Oh yeah, we didn't even
just
address
edit it. Yeah,
that we have like this new area.
Yeah. Okay. You want to jump in back into that?
But yeah, no. Oh, I literally there's one of his songs. I didn't know it was like a TikTok. I just heard like the audio used on a different TikTok. And I was like, this song is so goddamn catchy. Spencer and I were freaking out about it. We're like, what is this song? And so we like look it up on YouTube and we're listening to the lyrics. I'm like, this is
actually bang.
Is it no, but like the music is so good that you don't even realize for a second that the lyrics are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he pronounces like when people misspell something,
he pronounces it like how it's misspelled. Yeah.
It is the funniest thing. And there's one of them I literally every day in the shower I'm singing it. I'm like fucking going off, and it's like just like two people arguing in a fucking Facebook section.
See, my favorite thing that's popped up on TikTok is like it's millennials, it's more Gen Z kids. They'll hop onto these like Karen-filled Facebook groups, and they'll just like there was this one. It was like adult Disney freaks or some shit like that, and it said like they commented like, "Yo, where do you guys get your favorite like fuzzy butt plugs at? Because we're going to Disneyland tomorrow." And it's like, this isn't what it's for. And it's like, listen, but, and like they'll comment back like, listen, but mind your business. Like they just get into like these like huge arguments with these people, these Karens on Facebook groups over the stupidest shit.
It's kind of, I used to do that when I was like maybe like 12 years old, and I feel like it's crazy because I feel like I was just, now it makes so much sense of like me as a person, just like starting shit. But me and my best friend, we were probably like 10, 11, 12. It was like when you'd get on AIM chat. It was like a little before your time.
No, I was on AIM. I was on AIM. I was like, yo, like we're only like 2 years apart. Like the fuck?
You're so young. No, but they the chat rooms that you could go in like on AIM.
And your
it's
ASL.
Funny because
you asked for ASLs. And
I never experienced that, which is crazy because I've heard so many stories of people like crazy, like creepy, like stories of that kind of stuff. I always ended up in these chat rooms of people having like political discussions or like cultural discussions.
Of course you did.
Of course I would. And it wasn't on purpose. I think we would just like click on them. My luck, of course. But my username was Broderick Bode, who is a character in Harry Potter, like a very random character. It's like no one really knows. And that was my name. And I would just, I was only like 11 years old, but I'm a big reader. I'm pretty eloquent, as much as I say like on podcasts.
So you were catfishing dudes.
Well, yeah, and we would sit there
and intellect.
But I would just start whatever. I would be playing devil's advocate and just like argue with these people over nothing. And it was so funny to me because all these people are like full grown adults, right?
And
then I'm like 11.
If you were arguing with a bunch of other 11-year-olds that were also
the same as me. If that was happening and you hear this, please let me know because I would love to connect with you because I feel like we're similar. Yeah. But I swear these people were all adults and they had no idea that I'm like 11 years old. Yeah. And me and my best friend would just sit there and we'd be like, oh, we're going to say this. And we would just like start shit with these people. And it was never like rude. It was just like, well,
just counter arguments.
If you consider that, like douchey, like think about what people do now, like the, kind of like the dichotomy, like, how the minute you hear someone talking about on Twitter, like the dichotomy, you're like, oh, fuck you. Like, I'm sorry, I have to get a water.
Okay. Well, okay, so back to the DM side. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So we said definitely strike up conversation. What's a big don't?
Okay, so don't respond to the picture. Don't.
Dick pic, start, no.
Oh yeah, obviously that's like
I mean,
assault.
it's
Please don't do that.
Is it? It's technically assault. Yeah.
It's not assault, but it's in that territory. Like sending a girl you don't know a dick pic is like, if you're the kind of person
like
that
imagine
does
doing that
in
person.
I wouldn't want to be with someone like that alone with someone like that. Like you
I
have
want to know
a personality problem.
The conversion rate for dick pics.
Well,
like, do you think like, and like, there's a handful of people that are like, yeah, I met my wife, I sent her a dick pic.
Dude, I see. I think like girls on like OnlyFans and stuff. I've seen a handful of stories where like some guy was like, oh, like a dick rate thing, and then the girl was like, you have an amazing dick, I want to suck it. So it works occasionally, but there's also like
we're
very
also talking
rare.
Instagram and Twitter DMs versus OnlyFans DMs.
Right. True.
Like I want to know like the how many people have like met their significant other through.
It's got to be extremely rare because you'd have to be DMing someone that's openly comfortable with that. Because some girls are like, oh, like I'm very sexual, like that's cool.
Well, yeah, like I have
pics.
friends that are literally like, she literally tweeted like, what did she said, I love hung men. If you're like above a certain size, I will fuck you if I'm in your city.
Right.
And that's her.
And that's great and like good.
But she's asking for it.
Yeah, she put it out there.
I don't think I'd ever say that publicly, but she's asking for it.
Yeah. But she really was asking. I feel like that's like, then that's okay because someone's like, okay, I'm comfortable with this, but if no one's ever said that. But I think for me, it's like people assume. And the guys in like America, I'm like, okay, like you need to like grow up and understand that this is a fantasy. But sometimes like, you know, people always kind of make fun of like the vagine and balls thing. But I also like understand that in some cultures and some religions, a woman who is like having sex on the internet or has had sex on the internet, you are for sale.
Yeah, it's
like
open business. It's open business. Yeah.
So it's like sometimes when those people kind of message me and like, oh, like, you know, like send a dick pic, like, you know, and like
it's
some kind of offer.
Differences, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is like totally not cool, but I don't know what you're like. You really think that I'm someone's property that you could just like pay for. But when it's like American dudes, you know, doing culture. That,
like, dude, the funniest, like. I think it was a comedy bit. I can't remember exactly, but I use it in my personal life. I go like, dude, that girl is so hot. If you were to delete every single dick pic on her phone would physically be lighter. Like, because there's so many girls. Like I've sat with like Alex Links and like we've literally just been drunk, like going through DMs, and it's like there's like dudes from NBC executives sending like, I'm like, bro, what?
Wait, now I'm like offended because like I do not get that many dick pics.
We're actually at one of your shows. And like before you went on, I was like, dude, like let me just like go through your DMs and let's just fuck around with some dudes.
Everyone always hits me. They go, how many like athletes and like how many famous people have like hit you up with like trying to fuck? I'm like, none.
my favorite DM slide. I don't know if I can say it, but Tommy Laren's fiance.
Oh yeah, I guess I can talk about. I didn't want to like tweet about it because I was like, I'm not trying to like be hateful, but
he definitely has a type. Short, outspoken blonde girls. Like it's
yeah, like feisty blondes, but like we're on opposite ends of the spectrum. Which I was like, oh my god, I'm like
he doesn't discriminate.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. For those of you who don't know, they're not engaged anymore. But Tommy Loren, like my the opposite of me, but
she's a Fox News consultant analyst person.
Everyone knows
who gets famous for screaming at the camera,
screaming and doing alt-right talking points, but whatever. But she got engaged a while back to this guy, and I think they broke off their engagement. But I was like, man, this guy looks so familiar. I can't put my finger on like why I know this guy. Yeah. And then I like clicked on his Instagram, and I was like. And then I saw we had messages and like I think like maybe we had matched on Bumble, but like, you know, I always didn't like respond to people or didn't message people, so you know, guys always go and find you on Instagram and they're like, hey, like saw you on Bumble, and I'm like, you know, kind of thing. But we had like chatted a little bit. I don't really remember the full extent of it, but like we never went out. Like I never like actually physically went on a date with him. Okay, but like so we had talked, and it was just so funny because I was just like, oh my god, you're literally, and You're literally engaged, like the person that I'm like every day. I'm just like, I had to like mute her recently because it just like gives me so much anger, and it's just so funny because it's like, okay, you clearly have a type, blonde, like outspoken, like girls. Yeah. But then at the same time, it's like we're complete. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't go on a date with that guy because like clearly, if he was engaged to Tommy Loren, he's like much more right wing than I am. Like we would have like probably gotten in a fight.
Well, speaking of matches on dating sites and then DMs, did you see the Ben Affleck one? Some chick match. This was trending on Twitter for like 2 days. This chick matched with Ben Affleck on Raya, which is the famous person dating site. And
Ben Affleck.
And she's like, "There's no way this is real." So she unmatched them. Wakes up the next day to a video DM of him saying her name, being like, "Why'd you unmatch me? It's me." Yo,
that's what you're talking about. Twitter. Yeah. And then she, of course, posted it. Everywhere.
Posted. Now she's famous on Instagram. Now she went because I followed her. I followed her, and she had maybe like 7,000 or 8,000 on Instagram. I checked it yesterday. She had like almost 100,000 followers. Like,
poor Ben Affleck, he just like trying to like take.
But it was like the weird like old boomer video, like just straight in the face, like, "Hey," and it says her name. It's like, "Why'd you unmatch me? It's
How old is he?
It's me." Like 40.
How old is she?
Probably 20s.
So the internet is like probably freaking out about that, right?
I mean, no one really cares. It was the funniness.
Oh my God.
This is also the guy who has a questionable back tattoo.
Right. Well, he's also like depressed, isn't he? I don't know. Or is that just a meme?
No. He's Batman. He's Batman. He's Batman. He's from Boston.
But isn't that a meme, like depressed Ben Affleck?
No, I think you're thinking Keanu. There's pictures of Keanu Reeves just eating sandwiches in parks, and it's like a thing. And it's like sad Keanu. But he's always just wearing like a blazer and jeans.
Am I tripping? Like, I swear that was a thing.
Sad Ben Affleck?
Yeah, that was like a thing. It's like the one where he's like all sad. I don't know. Maybe that's Tom Cruise. I don't know. Brunette, white actors, they all look the same to me. I can't tell the difference. Okay, so the nose, obviously no dick pics. That's clearly
no
like pics. I shouldn't. If
another one.
Tell you that,
don't DM the match. Don't DM the match. Like, "Hey, why'd you unmatch me?" That's another big one.
Yes, don't do that. But actually, I talked about this recently on Twitter because people always ask, "Have you ever hooked up with someone who slid in your DMs?"
Okay.
And that's like a big question people have to ask. And I did one time. Once we had matched on Bumble, like I'd swiped right, but then I just like wasn't like, I just didn't message him. Like, you know, you're busy. Like, you know, it's not every day. Like sometimes you match at an inconvenient time. So it just like didn't message him. But it was clearly like, and he slid in my DMs. But also, as I tell people, I'm like, this was, should not get, like, this guy was so pretty. Like, it was one of those things where you're just like, I mean,
you're gonna get
any
a DM
girl,
back,
like, you know those guys that could just like walk up to a girl at like 1:30 in the morning and be like, "So,
where are you going?
What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Going home with you." Like, he had like that kind of
like his nickname is literally pretty name. Like,
like he was beautiful. Like I was not into him at all. But we hooked up for a few months just because I was like, "Man, you're so pretty." Like I like looking at you. I don't really like fucking you, but I just like, you know, I just ignore ignore what's happening and just like look at his face. Like I'd be like, "Oh man, it's so pretty." But like, you know, so that was the one guy.
It was a moment.
So it can happen, but also the guy was like unreal.
Yeah.
You know, so it can happen. But I know a lot of girls that have done it. Like, you know, if you send the right dick pic, but again, those are girls who put it out.
I mean,
there.
dude, Chechik. Chechik literally will tweet out, "I'm at this music festival. If you're a fan, come and I'll suck your dick." Like, you know what? To each their own, but like, hey, it's possible.
I love her so much. She's like one of the most genuine people.
Yeah.
I love her.
But she's what's the term I'm looking for? Not a wild gun. She's
wild
just off
child?
the cuff. Just off the cuff. She's just like,
no, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. Okay, so but no, I think starting off the story, showing that you're interested in the person, right? Like interested in something that they're doing, or like, I don't know, maybe you have like, you like their pet, or I don't know, just something non-sexual, like, you know, because I think, and
can't come in hot.
And I don't want to like generalize by gender because, you know, oh sorry,
no, it's still recording.
I don't want to like generalize by gender, but I do think that, where was I going with this? Sorry, I got so distracted by this.
We got 5 minutes. You're fine.
Wait, what were we talking about? This is why I shouldn't have hit the joint before. You
know what? We're talking about DMs, generalized by gender.
About being interested in like what? Oh yeah, because I think like, you know, women are in general so used to being kind of like these like sexual objects or like objectified, and like, you know, someone just like wants to fuck you, like that's it. And so it's not like, even if you like to just have casual sex and you like to just get fucked sometimes, at the same time, like just being seen that way by a guy is like kind of like
off-putting.
It's off-putting because it's like, well, everyone's like that. Like I remember like on Tinder I matched with a guy once, super super hot, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's so hot. And then his DM to me was like,
just
want to hook
like,
up
to the point. Yeah,
it was like, you want to hook up tonight?
Like we got to do the dance. We got to do the dance.
I was like, probably would have, but like you just,
it's off-putting. It's aggressive.
I'm like, are you gonna pay me? Because I feel like if you're just like, hey, like, want to have sex to a stranger, then I feel like I should receive some kind of payment.
I mean, I've done the reverse where like a girl comes over and she's just like automatically just jumps in, and I'm like, I'm a simp, so like, are we gonna hang out? Should we order some food?
You're like, wait, yeah, like, are we gonna get like?
I had a girl over. I don't want to say when, but and you know, we're gonna handsy, and I was like, no, like the documentary is like really good. Like, well, we're gonna get there. Like, let's just trust me. I'm ready for this. But like, I'm really actually. It was side note, great documentary on Apple TV. It's called like When the World Paused. It's a National Geographic with David Attenborough narrating it, and it's about what happened with the world and wildlife while the world was shut down. So it's like,
yeah, I saw some of the pictures.
Yeah, but like, dude, like, pause, like, David Attenborough, well, don't also, disrespect.
I can never like, and I think that's the great thing of like being in a relationship and having a boyfriend, because like we're always gonna finish the movie. Like I feel like people always like talk about on Twitter like, oh, like when you're just like, you know, kind of, you know, when you're like in high school and shit, you like, oh, we're gonna watch a movie, but you're really just gonna like hook up through the whole thing. And like then once you're like older in a relationship, it's like, no, we're finishing this fucking movie. Mm-hmm. And also too, since we watch a lot of like horror crime stuff, the rare time that we're like, okay, fuck it, like we're gonna like, you know,
you kind of glance over it.
I've been like sucking a dick and just being like, and you just hear like her body was mangled, and you're just like, I just start laughing. I'm like, dude, like we gotta turn this shit off. Like it's like not sexual. Like they're like talking about some horrific murder, and I'm like, okay. Like sometimes, you know, you're like about to come, and you're just like, they say some wild.
Dude, yeah, I had it with the Tom Segura special. Like I was hooking up with this girl, and he starts talking about like how much cum your mom has taken in her life, and I'm like, wait, stop. Hold up, like pause. Like I thought stand-up comedy in the background was just gonna be like a little ambiance thing. No, we're Spotify acting.
Speaking of Tom Segura, you know, did I tell you, or I don't know if I did tell you that? Yeah, Tom Segura, one of my favorite comedians.
Same. Shout out.
Seen him multiple times live. We were supposed to go see him right before COVID hit. The show got canceled, but he, like, I'm like such a big fan, right? And so I'm always like, you know, like tweet at them, whatever. And then like I know like he and Bert are like pretty up on like, you know, adult stuff, and they're very cool with that.
Yeah.
And then my friend the other day sent me, he's like, oh my god, like Tom Segura like mentioned you on their podcast on Two Bears One Cave, and I was like, oh my god. He's like, well, your name kind of got stepped on by Bert. And I was like, so I like go and I like watch the episode, and like I think he was like talking about like, I only like watched a little part of it, about like porn stars who've kind of like gone on and done other things.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, like what's that one girl, like he's like Carter, and then Bert jumps in and he's like, oh yeah, I mean there's like a bunch of them, like, and then he just starts talking about Jesse Andrews, and I was like so pissed because I was
your
like,
shout out was so
I was like, dude, like I was like, oh my god, I was gonna be such a fangirl. And also too, I like if I ever get to go on their podcast, I have to tell Bert that like him fangirling over Jesse Andrews, like she probably like hates him.
Yeah. Cause
like she hates me for being a fangirl.
Yeah.
So, which like, do you know like the whole, so, you know, she's like,
give us the what was the,
because I tweeted about this the other day and people were very interested.
I mean, now it's called the Too Long Didn't Read, but what was it? It was the for dummies. It was like, give us the Spark Notes.
Too Long
the
Didn't
Cliff
Read.
Notes. Yeah. Give us the Cliff Notes of
the
this.
Cliff Notes. Yeah. Basically, like she is kind of how I ended up in porn, because I read an interview with her and I was like, you know, into DJing and I wanted to do all these things. And then I kind of read about this girl who's like, she had a jewelry company. She was a successful DJ and she'd kind of gotten there from doing porn. And I'd never thought of porn before. It wasn't something I watched. And I was like, that's so cool. This girl seems like she has the most awesome life. Like she's doing all the things I want to do. And she like got there through doing porn. So that really inspired me to start, like, you know, and that's kind of how I ended up in the business. You know, not just her, but like that was probably a catalyst for me.
Yeah.
And so me and my best friend were both like, you know, oh, like she's so cool, like she's so pretty, like, you know, we were like little fans of her, you know, back home in college in North Carolina. And my first paycheck I got from porn, I like her little fledgling jewelry company. It was like really new at the time, you know, now it's very successful. I bought me and my best friend like matching like friendship rings. Yeah, like my first porn money, because before then I'd never had money before. And so, you know, it was like kind of our little thing, like, oh, like we love this girl. And so then I like came out to LA and ended up signing with her agent. And, you know, and one day, like, you know, she was doing a movie with like all girls and it's kind of her movie. So she gets to pick the girls. And so my agent told her like, hey, this girl, you should get her for one of the scenes. Like she's kind of going to be like the new hot girl. And like, she like loves you, whatever. And so I'm like dying inside. Like I'm so excited to like work with her. It's like, I like looked up to her so much. And, you know, I would read her interviews and she's like, oh, I just want to inspire other women. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like she seems so nice. And I met her a couple times and she wasn't super like friendly, but, you know, it was kind of in passing. Yeah. And then we do the scene. And so I get there, I'm super nervous. I'm all like, you know, and so they're asking me to do an interview before. And my whole interview is like, oh, like, I'm so excited to work with her. Like, I'm such a fan and like, whatever. And then like, I don't see her interview because I'm getting my hair and makeup done, but I heard about it later. And, but basically Dana had been on set with her. And like the whole time before I got there, she was just like, oh, this girl's like a weird fangirl. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm not, like, I'm just like, I look up to you. Like,
it's not a Make-A-Wish fucking.
Yeah, like, I'm not like some like loser. I'm like, I'm just like, hey, like, and I'm like, how weird is that like, you would, I mean, think about any of your fans. Like, that's, if you feel that way about me, you must feel that way about every single person who supports you. I'm like, it's not like I'm like showing up at your house or texting you every day. I just meet you and go, hey, I love what you do. I'm like a huge fan.
I'm
like
inspired by.
I'm inspired. And like, so then basically we did the scene and then like, I don't know, it was just like dumb shit. I never saw this girl like ever. I saw her one time at a music festival and I went up to her and said, oh, hey, how are you doing? We talked for 2 seconds. I left. That's it. And then probably about a week or two before the award show, because we got nominated for Best Girl Scene. Yeah. She tweeted something. She was at some event that I wanted to go to, but I had to work. And I thought she would get that because she was a Spiegler girl and like, you know, you're like a slave. So I was like, hey, so I like responded and I was like, oh my God, looks so fun. Like I was supposed to be there. I had to work, you know, blah, blah, blah. That was like the only thing. Yeah. She blocked me on every social media. And I was like, I'm so confused. Like, why did this girl fucking like block me on everything? I've like only said nice things to her. I'm so confused. So then we go to the award show and I'm like, this is going to be so awkward. And like, we don't sit at the same table and we end up winning Best Girl Scene. And so I'm not.
So you can't even shout her out on social media for the win.
I'm not like fake. So like to me, I'm like, oh, this girl. I mean, if you block someone like that you barely know, you probably fucking hate them. So to me, I'm like, this is so awkward. So we have to go up on stage and accept this award. So I'm feeling hell awkward. Yeah. I'm just like taking shots because I'm like, oh my God, it's so awkward. I don't know, like, what am I gonna do when we get up there? Like, is she gonna be weird to me? Whatever. And as I'm walking up on stage, she comes up and gives me the biggest fucking hug in the world. It was the fakest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, there's a video of it. And I'm like, standing there like, because I'm so confused. Yeah, and like, I thought you didn't fuck with me. And then she like did this whole fake thing. It was the craziest thing in my life. And so it's like so sad. And I've never talked about this before because I kind of thought at some point she'd be like, oh, it's kind of like mean to that girl and like be cool with me. But like it's never happened. And so just like the other day when someone tweeted, they're like, oh, like it was like history of adult awards and the like best girl scene. I'm like, it's so funny because this was like such an exciting moment for me. Like someone I looked up to so much.
Collaborated on a scene with, wins an award.
We won an award, and then she just like wants nothing to do with me, and like thinks because I did porn and then like was a DJ that like basically
copied her.
Yeah, I'm like, our music is different, our styles are different, our personalities are different, our looks are different. Like we're no way the same. Like we just happen to like similar things, like as very like who doesn't like music? Everyone likes music. Who doesn't like sex? Everyone likes sex. Actually, she might not. Okay, now I'm talking too much shit. No, but I really respect her as a businesswoman to this day, and it's still very bummy to me. But when Bert cut him, and I'm like, wait, I'm a huge fan of you guys, and then like that girl's probably sitting there going, oh my God, he's mentioning me on the podcast again. Like, what a freak. So I was really sad. So my goal is to basically get on their podcast and, and rectify that.
Rectify.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I think that'll be a wrap. We'll just do our little ad read or off the top of the dome. Guys, today's podcast is brought to you in part by Linda Feingold for all your consumer needs of household items, merchandise.
Clothing.
It's
like household.
You guys have a household items.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
Just say it.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's
a home goods company.
It's like hot topic for degenerates.
It's a mom and pop hot topic for degenerates.
It's like a bed and breakfast for sluts.
It's a bed and breakfast for sluts. I was gonna say like
this house is literally a bed.
This place is the Area CD.
Said in the most loving way.
Okay, well, yeah, this podcast is brought to you in part.
Can I like put a bed in here and like sleep here sometimes?
Yeah, guys, we are now at our.
I feel like a little dicky right now.
You don't live here, so it's not like that.
Yeah. I mean, he pretty much
I'm
lives
still
it.
paying the rent.
I need a second sugar daddy.
Same.
Yeah, don't we all? I need a first one.
You need a sugar mama.
Yeah, it'd be great. Comment down below. Let me know your budget, ladies.
And also drop any topics and shit you guys want to hear us talk about. I feel like we usually tell crazy party stories, but it's been a year. I mean, you've been doing some shit, but I haven't done much.
Yeah, I can't really talk about what I've been doing, but yeah, we've been doing it. We're back. We're bringing it back. I
can't really talk about it.
I mean, I don't want to get canceled for going out.
Can I toss an oddball question?
Yeah.
Because obviously you're a sexual person.
Yeah.
And you're just...
I'm wholesome.
A man whore.
I'm wholesome.
No, you're not.
It's not where you thought that was going.
How has grooming gone during the pandemic, right? Were you just letting it grow? Like, are you,
we can't talk about that because we're not sponsored by Manscaped yet.
So for me, I feel like, I was like disgusted by body hair. Like the minute I grew like one hair down there, I was like, get that shit off. Like I shaved all the time. I started waxing when I was 16. I did my own waxes in college because I was too broke to pay for it. And then I started shooting porn, and you don't have time to let it grow into wax. And then shaving every day is like terrible. Yeah. And so I grew like a little bush, and I really liked how it looked because I was like, man, like when it's fully clean, it's very like, here's the puss. And then, it's just it's aggressive. And then when I had like a little, and like I would lay out naked, so it would get kind of bleach blonde. So it was like this little light, like fluff. And I was like, man, this is so classy looking. Like, I would like shave like where like someone's mouth's going to go, but then like just leave the hair up on top. Cause that's really where you get the
accessory.
Well, that's where you really get the, ingrown hairs and stuff is up top. So you just like shave down below, and then there's just like a little poof up top. And I had that altered porn, obviously. And as everyone knows. And so I think like afterward, now I do a thing where I kind of switch back because that was my thing. That was my look, right? It was like the bush. So I never would take it off. But then sometimes now I'm like, oh, it's kind of hot. Like if it's hot outside, like over the like last summer, I was like, oh, I gotta fucking take it all off. Cause like, or if you're wearing a bathing suit, like you don't necessarily want it to like poke out. Sometimes you do, it's a look, But so I think, and like my boyfriend is always like, oh, I just like that you like switch it up. So like my thing is like back and forth. Like sometimes I let like the whole thing grow in. Sometimes it's like a nice little trimmed bush. Sometimes I'm just like, fuck it. And I take the whole goddamn thing off. I like to switch it up. So you never know what you're going to get.
It's a wild card.
Yeah.
See, I'm a routine guy, and I ride a motorcycle. I ride a bicycle. So I got to keep it trimmed. I got an electric razor. Every couple days, you just fucking tidy it up.
Like a razor or like a trimmer?
It's like an electric trimmer.
Oh, yeah. No, I always use like Spence's to like do it. And it's so funny because I just like, I'm like always, I'm like, I don't know if he cares. But I'm always think he's going to walk in.
Anyways,
you know, I'm just like in there, just like using his, like the razor he uses on his face. I'm like, oh, like,
I have a face razor and I have a balls razor. You gotta have two.
He has like 10. I don't know what they're all for, but I just grab whichever one's charged and use it. So
Just go at it.
But I doubt he cares. What about you?
I'm old school. I have to go like with a real razor, not like a one, but like a Gillette. I don't trust electric razors down there because I imagine when you pull on a hangnail, everything just rips off.
Oh,
My hair gets caught and I yank, and then my
Why
skirt's open.
You put a trim guard on it. You hit it with like a 2. You give yourself a nice little fade.
Even though I think those sometimes really actually pull more. You're right. The electric ones, I've gotten it caught before, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh my god, stop, guys.
Yeah.
Manscaped, send us something.
Yeah, please.
Have you ever nared in high school?
No.
My legs.
Girls nared my stomach, and the worst thing about it wasn't the naring, was the next day at school because you're sitting like this.
Oh, and it's just your guts on it, like
your gut sweats, and it gets into the you're just sitting there and just like.
Was it burning?
For like days.
And
then as the hair grows in.
You get a little pricklies.
I shave my back.
It's still
My
wet?
hair's still growing. Like when you pull your shirt.
Yeah.
I shave my back too.
It was so funny. I was like the other day. I was like just in the shower, and I was so confused why one of my legs had long ass hair and the other one was like didn't. And I was like, because it was like a week after that, and my leg hair grows really slowly. So it was like the one you shaved was like only a little hair, and the other one was so long. And I was like,
I don't remember that. I don't remember any of that.
Oh yeah, Gilly blacked.
I blacked out maybe like an hour into getting
before
here.
we went home.
Yeah.
When he got home, he's like, "Bro, I love you." I'm like, "I love you."
The next morning, because he slept at my house, and so the next morning he like woke up before everyone and left, and he cleaned by putting every beer can into our sink, which sat there for like 2 days. Everyone was like, we don't know what to do with this, because it was like our entire sink was just full of beer cans. It was actually very helpful. I appreciate it a lot. But Gilly just texted me and goes like, do I need to like pay for anything or like apologize to anyone? Because like I don't remember anything after like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Because I asked, I was like, did you invite people to my house? And you were like, no, I didn't do that. And then it was like, you did.
Yeah,
it was fun
one.
though. It was a good night. We fell asleep. Kendra fell asleep too, but she ended up making it home that night.
Yeah, no, just out like a light. All right, that's a wrap, guys. Thank you for coming back. We're back.
Bearing with us through our first episode.
Yeah, we're back.
Still getting the hang of this.
Oh yeah, make sure to follow. I don't even remember.
It's Art of Chaos Pod.
Art of Chaos Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
It was hard because it was too many letters and a lot of things were taken.
Yeah. And then we didn't want to infringe on AOC's fan base. Even though we'd love to have her on here, but yeah. Yeah, make sure to follow, like, subscribe, comment, retweet, all of them, all the good shit.
You plug your shit, because I feel like everyone's gonna know my shit.
On Instagram, Simply G with 3 Ys, because the 1 Y was taken.
Simply G.
And then you are?
Carter Cruz. Carter like the president, Cruz like cruise ship.
And we're out.